Peace, peace. Assalamu Allah. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Shalom, hotep. Peace to the family. I'm your brother in the struggle, brother minister, Alifullah. And today we're going to decipher in the cipher. Actions are judged by your niyat or your intentions. Messenger Elijah Muhammad teaches us in 17 Ways to Play Islamic Culture lesson that actions are judged by intentions. Actions may appear wrong, but motives bring rewards. Now, I'd like to share with y'all a little story, true life, true facts, real history, real owl story, if you will. It was like around, I'd say like 1987. Now, I mean, we trying to resurrect the mentally dead of Rockview. This is in the mountains of the penitentiary in Pennsylvania. I mean, and we had some real formidable devils that we was fighting against back then. You know what I mean? But part of the struggle was I'm from Philadelphia, and in the belly of the beast is a lot of geo-cultural, economical politics. Now, I mean, it's like everybody stay in that lane, if you will. Now, I mean, like if you from North Philly, you ride with North. You from South Philly, you ride with Southwest Philly, you ride with West Philly. You from Erie, Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, whatever the case may be. And I was like the revolutionary in the belly of the beast. Now, I mean, I'm the one that was able to consolidate all these different tribes, if you will, all these different ideologies and mythologies. You know what I mean? So I always had unity wherever I went. You know what I mean? I always was like able to bring the Moors together, 5%ers, the Pan-Africans, move. If you was against the system, we were comrades in the struggle. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody that was up Rockview Penitentiary, from like I came up there in 1987. They kicked me out in 1993 because of a FOI riot. I mean, we always was in something. You know what I mean, but it was like, the good thing is, I never in my life had a non-political persecution, meaning that everywhere I went, the devil always saying I was a troublemaker. But when you look at it, 100% of me getting kicked out of Greatest Ford and sent to Rockview, me getting kicked out of Rockview, sent back to Greatest Ford, me getting kicked out of Greatest Ford, sent up Huntington, me getting kicked out of Huntington, sent up to the Super Maximum Green, me getting kicked out of the Super Maximum, sent up Pittsburgh, me getting kicked out of Pittsburgh, sent up Dallas. It was always because of one thing. I was a threat to some person or persons that could not be protected otherwise. So they charged us with everything under the sun. That's all in the struggle. Now, I mean, COINTELPRO was active, but FOIs and MGTs was conscious. We was literally raising the dead by the thousands worldwide. This before the internet, family. Now, I mean, we was active in the struggle for peace, truth, freedom, justice, and equality. Now, I mean, and of course, you're going to have your entry. You're going to have your stool pigeons, your hypocrites, your cowards. You know what I mean? But Messenger Elijah Muhammad told us in Message of the Black Man, this message is not for the cowards. Pardon me. So, it was hard. 99% of Black men was afraid to soldier back in the, like, when I stood up back in 1983, it was not, you're not standing up saying you're FOI unless you are an alpha male. I mean, you got to put the work in on every level. I mean, it's just that type of. Now, I mean, Greatest Ford, the East Point Academy. Now, I mean, it's like you had to stand on your truth. You know what I mean? And from the beginning to the end, we always taught one basic principle: the black man is God. The white man is the devil. Master Farrakhan Muhammad is the supreme law, God in person. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his first, last, and only messenger. And the Honorable Minister Farrakhan is their international representative. Now, with that being said, that was our premise. But on that premise, on that platform, on that days, we had photos of the Honorable Silas Muhammad. Me personally, my minister, I was blessed to briefly meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, thanks to Bro Minister Rashid, Supreme Angel Rashid, the Law FA. You know what I mean? We had a club in Philadelphia back in the day called the Black Angel Cafe down Germantown Avenue. And our landlord was a former, well, his father was in what they call the First Resurrection. His whole family was Muslim. His wife, strong sister, you know what I mean? She's still active in Philly to this day. He's still strong and active with real estate. You know what I mean? So we was renting this building from him for our little ciphers and stuff. But he organized something for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to come to Philadelphia to the Hilton Hotel. You know what I mean? And because I was basically with Supreme Angel Rashid, that's my man, and Rashid is connected to him. That's the landlord. I mean, so his thing was like, listen, we're gonna put y'all at the VIP section. So they put us at the front first table with him. I mean, so you know, and the only thing was back then, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's image and likeness was being exploited. So the final call issued a edict, if you will. They basically came out with, you can't use the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's pictures and images or words, because basically it's like imagine someone famous like, say, Kevin Hart, Chris Rock, or somebody like that there, and you trying to do your stand-up comedy, whatever, and technology changed the game. They could videotape you. The final call in Nation Islam back then was making money. That, you know, they had to sell DVDs back in the day. You know what I mean? But if the people is making their own videos and uploading it on social media platforms and things of that nature there, you messing up the economy of a whole nation like that. Now, I mean, you know, because the nation back then, you know, had to change with the technology. So they adapted now. Now, I mean, and you know, the good thing was the Honorable Minister Farrakhan came in, but when he came in, they stopped everything. Everybody had to be quiet for a moment. I mean, the reminder in the house. And when he came in, they explained to us, listen, you have to turn your phones off, no photographs, none of that. Now, I mean, you know, you can't take the Honorable Minister Farrakhan's likeness, images, whatever. Now, I mean, me being a Talib or a student, follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings, my thing is, whatever reminders say, go. I mean, period. I mean, so you know, my thing was, I didn't want to disrespect, I mean, his position by taking pictures in there. We got pictures. They even put pictures in the final call. I mean, that's us at the very first table, in fact. But the thing was, I was like, nah, I mean, we take our pictures amongst ourselves, whatever, you know what I mean? So the fruit, we you know, we flicked it up and everything like that there. We suited and booted, having fun. Beautiful food, beautiful lectures. You know, it was a beautiful time. Now, I mean, really, for me, that was a personal Savior's Day. I mean, Master Muhammad teach us every day is Savior's Day. You know what I mean? And it's like, I didn't get to see Master Muhammad physically, Muhammad, but I got to see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan live and in power. So for me, that was a personal Hajj. I mean, that was my little pilgrimage to the reminder. You know what I mean? You know, but when they eventually sent me up Pittsburgh, you know, I had a, you know, real professional curriculum. Like you come into penitentiary, it's like going to college. Like you literally get your roster. This is all your classes you got to go to. We had certain like the young boys. It wasn't like you do what you do, I'm doing my, nah. You don't have a GED? Take your ass to school. I mean, We was in college. We was going to Penn State and all that kinds. But it's like learning, education, training, get a job. You got to learn how to do something. You know what I mean? And there's no shame in hard work. Like if you work in a kitchen, if you work on a block, if you cut hair, if you do electrical work, if you're working out on the farm, whatever. You know what I mean? Make the best out of every bad situation, but always be conscious of the power dynamics. It's not a thing of the black prisoner in this cell trying to kill the white prisoner in that cell. It's not this prisoner minding this prisoner. It's like, yo, this dude up here in this tower got this carbine rifle to kill the white ones, the black ones, North Philly, South Philly, West Philly, Germantown, Pittsburgh. They didn't care. You know what I mean? So it was classism, it was elitism, it was imperialism under the guise of capitalism. That's how it was, that's how it is. You know what I mean? And, I observed that mythology was real effective, so much so that it caused a lot of heat coming from the 10%, come from the devils. You know what I mean? And, when people that know me, they be like, oh, but Mr. Ali, problem child. Absolutely. You know what I mean? They'll tell you the reality was like we had to go through all the devil's trials and tribulations. You know what I mean? Like they literally come in kicking in my cell door, no exaggerations, probably four times a week. You know what I mean? For years. You know what I mean? Taking literature. You know what I mean? Every time they like, oh, what's this? Oh, what are you talking about now? They was really intrigued with the literature. Like I literally had devils that used to read so much of my literature that they got converted. He was like, Salam Allah, the black man, God, white man, there's the devil. All praise due to Allah. No, I mean, so it's like, and at the same time, the political and classism and politics of the time was like, what I mean? Everybody looked at it like, damn, you got kicked out the Supermax. I mean, for trying to kill the security captain, Michael Machino. I mean, and trying to break out all the FOIs and all this other crazy. We're going to get into all that in the future someday, show y'all some real life stuff. Now, it's a lot of trick knowledge. We're going to put y'all down with what's really how this thing was moving. But long story short, I was learning. They thought that I had all the answers. I didn't have all the answers. I just was able to bring something to the table. I was learning from people like Mumia Abu-Jamal personally. I mean, the so-called Black Mafia, one-on-one. For years, we moving like that for like 30 years. You know what I mean? One-on-one with Phil Africa, Delbert Africa, Russell Schultz, the Black Liberation Army. You know what I mean? I'm plugged into the Black Panther Party, the Gods, and you know what I mean, the 5%ers, the Pan-Africans. I knew brothers that would eat raw meat and have nothing in their cell, and they would just exercise just for the day that they could destroy the devil. That's all they did. I mean, like literally, like you walk past, it's like, it's nothing in that hut but his clothes. And like I'm talking about, shout out to those that was up Robbie that know Lamboy. Lamboy, this dude, I'm like, yo, why are you eating raw meat up in this joint? He said, but mister, they treat us like animals. I want to take on the mentality of an animal. So when they let the lion out the cage, it's on. You know what I mean? And, he had that revolutionary real life mentality. You know what I mean? See, a lot of people talk that talk. Very few people walk that walk. So in the FY, we say those that say don't do, and those that do don't say. They open up that cage and let that man out. The first thing he do is stab the guard out. Boom, 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 boom. That's his mentality. Every time I see y'all, I'm going to destroy the devil. Every time I see you. 99.99% of black people ain't ready for all that. You know what I mean? So I seen real revolutionaries. I mean, I seen brothers that was conscious on tip like, brother, I need you to just call my people, let them know, boo, bang, I'm getting out of here tonight. I'm like, what's up? What you doing? He's like, One thing the devil thought he took my freedom. He can't take my freedom. Only I could take my freedom. I mean, and you had brothers that be like, I'm doing life without the possibility of parole. Then you have brothers that had the mentality, I'm not. And they kill that self. They sacrifice like Japanese warriors, Karma Sutra, they literally would kill themselves just to take back some sense of control, even if it's in that physical death. You know what I mean? So these is the type of conscious warriors that I was around. I was around MGTs that was in other camps that we raised up. You know what I mean? And they used to write me all the time, you know what I mean, and give us updates, make sure they safe and secure. But they was these strong black women. You know what I mean? It's like they about their work, real live MGTs, most goddess trusted. I mean, not just Muslim girls in training, they was the most goddesses trusted. I kid you not. You know what I mean? And I remember learning so much. Now, I mean, I'm not just saying intellectually. You know what I mean? Yeah, the intellectual stuff was definitely there. You know what I mean? Like I was sharp with the messenger teachings, but the Bilalian bros was sharp with Arabic. I wasn't sharp with Arabic. You know what I mean? So they, I'm black man, Kabul, man. They like, but do you know how to make salat? I didn't know how to make no salat and all that, but I had the messenger prayer book. So I felt bad, like, damn, I'm fruit. Let me study this. So I read the messenger 1957 Muslim Delhi prayers. You know what I mean? And I took and started learning Arabic and learning how to make salat, call it dan, wash up properly with istinja, wudu, tayammum, gusha. So eventually you master that stuff. So when I master, I'm like, the black man still got it. that when I'm reading what they are pushing, it's like, how did y'all get spooked up? The Holy Quran clearly says it's not righteousness if you stand up or bow down or face the east or the west when you make your prayers. But it is righteous that you submit to the will of God. You gotta put the work in. You gotta believe in the law, his messenger, his books, his angels. That's the true mu'min. That's the true Muslim. I mean, Muslim. Now I mean, so it was like the messenger teachings always rang true to me. So everybody that know me be like, the way Alif is in 2023, that's how he was in 1983. No doubt, no hesitation in words, no fear, none of that. Now, I mean, we push the messenger teachings relentlessly, fearlessly. Now, I mean, I had to adapt and adjust to this modern world that we're living in. I mean, but, it's the messenger teachings like taking a fish and putting them in new water. He's going to splash around at first, but eventually adjusting. I mean, I'm learning the ropes. Now, I mean, I'm doing stuff a little sloppy right now, but we're gonna get it down to a science. That's how we move. You know what I mean? But I learned from different schools of thought. So I wasn't aware of Noble Drew Ali teachings, and so learning the Moors teachings, learning 5% teachings, Pan-African, Ancient Kemet, Black Egypt, the whole African diaspora type stuff, revolutionaries around the world, the Black Panther Party, MOVE, you know what I mean, politics, you name it. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing you see on the outside world is on the inside world. Same dynamics, same imperialism, same geopolitical, cultural struggles that our people are in, we were in and are in. You know what I mean? And I like when I say I get kicked out of here, go here, get kicked out. I'm in a hole for years, whatever. I mean, they put me over here, send me over here. But the thing is, I would take and like, say, like, MOVE be like, yo, study this. Now, I mean, the revolutionaries like, nah, bro, minister, you got the soldiers. Where's the arms? I got the arms. I mean, shout out to JoJo Bowen. Now, I mean, you had, I'm talking about like Major Tillery, so-called Bigfoot, Nudie Mims. Now, I mean, these all the giants that I stood upon their shoulders. I was the young boy. I was the baby in the family. I mean, I was 17 years old. I was still a juvenile, but I'm learning from all of these gods. Now I mean, good and bad. Now I mean, a lot of them knew what they was talking about. Some didn't. Now I mean, most of them gave me excellent advice. A few didn't. Now I mean, I made some military blunders that I wouldn't, I was real emotional as far as like fighting the devil. I mean, it's like I literally had to learn that the pen is mightier than the sword. I mean, and that's a truism. That's an actual fact. I mean, it's like the devil wasn't afraid of our little wax, but they were scared to death of our political and cultural and economical and unifying principles. Terrorize these devils. I mean, we put the fear of God in Satan. Like literally, people that know us to tell you, like, listen, they were scared to death of the fruit. Fruit of Islam, mighty FOI, BMC back then, yeah, they was the real McCoy. Now I mean, and I had to learn different mythologies. You know what I mean? Because I was a strict Puritan. I was like one of them FOI, Nation of Islam extremists. My thing was like, you could not come around me if you didn't know your lessons. You could not talk how to live if you did not eat one vegetarian meal per day and fast for 3 days, the first, second, and third of every month at a minimum. If you couldn't do 1,000 push-ups, if you ain't stabbed nobody, you ain't getting no posts. It was like you gotta make your bones. That was the mentality we came up under. You know what I mean? My supreme minister was Minister Salim Mahdi Sedan, Willie 30X Clayton. You know what I mean? And I was the young boy, and it's like him, Brother Supreme Captain Calvin, Malik Muhammad, them brothers was real excellent teachers. A lot of people look at it like, oh, they jailhouse Muslims, they troublemakers, they the black mafia, they was this, they violent this. These dudes was men of justice. They would get on us if we're doing stupid stuff. Now I mean, like people thinking they starting trouble, but fruit really is keeping people out of trouble. I mean, we don't let nobody drag dirt in the house. The Bible teaches us if your right hand offend you, cut it off. Your right eye offend you, pluck it out. It's better to lose a member of the body than to lose the whole body. Now I mean, so we was with justice even if it was against ourselves. Now I mean, so we wouldn't let, we had a million situations, but I wouldn't let a FOI go into Aaron Nation's cell and steal his TV. This man in jail for murder. He ain't no coward. What you think he's going to do? You be like, oh, you fruit. And you think this white boy's not going to stab you 80 times for going in his hut and taking his TV? His thing, there's no doubt in my mind, retaliation of masters prescribed. The fruit gonna kill me wherever I go. Now he could take lifetime protective custody, whatever. But our team was on we was a different type of God. Our thing was, like you are not escaping the wrath of Allah, the Asiatic black man, to make it on. Meaning that if you was in another state and the word of God came to your state, the gods would take your protective custody. They would take the guards that got you in protective custody and take the keys from the guard and come in your cell and execute judgment in the name of Allah. So that had the FBI, the C, all them devils was on us. Know what I mean? So they was terrified of that stuff. Know what I mean? Because we was fearless and we was relentless. Know what I mean? We was like, we give all I have and all our power to see this day for which we have waited 379 years like our messenger. Know what I mean? So we pushed the messenger program through blood, sweat, and tears for real. Know what I mean? A lot of people think that the nation got built by selling papers and making bean pies. Nah. Go to the belly of the beast and look at all them brothers on long-term segregated lockdowns and them MGTs that's locked up. Now, I mean, you know, look, talk to them old heads. They be like, man, this is how much money I put up to put Philly on the map, to put Chicago on the map. This is how New York, Harlem, this is how Harlem got on the map. Now, I mean, brothers and sisters sacrifice, true believers. Now, I mean, and and that I love to learn everything I could. I wouldn't care if it was law, economics, politics, warfare, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Afrocentricity, as they called it back in the day, whatever. You know what I mean? Your lessons, whatever. You know what I mean? Our thing was like, you can't come to us with no 120. You got to know 360. If you don't know all your lessons, I mean, like I see nowadays, they got all these lesson books out and all. It's like, man, that's like 30% of Master Farrakhan Muhammad and Messenger's teachers. I mean, we was like, nah, we learned all that stuff. The Quran, Bible, Hebrew, Arabic, Spanish, mathematics, finances, you name it. You know what I mean? And even though I was a wazir or minister, I always was a talib or student. So I always, brothers will tell you, like, Alif in 40 years never gave us a direct order to do anything. Now, I mean, I treated brothers the way I would want to be treated. Now, I mean, you know, we you know, if the law was the law, the law was the law. Now, I mean, but we used the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, I mean, and in my stern positions, I learned that you had to be flexible. Now, I mean, and that was a real mature. That's when you mature in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, I mean, and one of the things that comes to mind is my interaction with brothers from the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I don't know if a lot of y'all are aware of this, but the messenger used to speak about certain cities in a good and negative way, like Chicago, Pittsburgh, you know what I mean? And a lot of people may not be aware of it. Before Harlem was Harlem, before New York had an Empire State Building, the Black Mecca was in Pittsburgh. All the jazz and blues and Pittsburgh, that's why it's the football team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. All of the steel mills, all of the coal that was underneath that whole area, they dug Allegheny County up and they would take and ship that steel all over the world. Now, I mean, U.S. Steel was the world's largest, richest, imperialist corporation. That's where steel going to Detroit to make cars. Now, I mean, you know, the Ford and all these American-made cars. Now, I mean, they getting a lot of the steel from places like right here in Coatesville at Lucan Steel, steel from the Empire State Building. They bringing it out Coatesville because that's where it was made, right? About 10 minutes from where I'm living. I mean, you know, but the brothers from Pittsburgh, because of the factory shutting down, poverty set in. Before the factory shut down, that was a hub for black economics. The Pittsburgh press, I mean, you know, was so powerful. There was no Nation of Islam newspaper at the time. There was no Muhammad Speaks. In the early years, the Messenger had the newsletter, the Final Call to Islam in the 30s. But by the 50s, the Nation of Islam didn't have a national publication like the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and them had. So the Malcolm X, the national spokesman for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was going to originally write, well, he actually started writing for the Pittsburgh Courier newspaper, black-owned newspaper. You know, Malcolm back then, he was so militant. Now, I mean, it was scaring a lot of people. They like, Malcolm too raw, he too radical. So the Messenger took over Malcolm's slot and he started writing Mr. Muhammad Speaks articles that eventually became books and, you know, like all this Genesis years, A lot of stuff in Message to the Black Man and stuff like that. A lot of those chapters are really excerpts from articles from the Messenger newspaper writings in the Detroit Press and things of that nature there. He wrote all over the place nationally and eventually started becoming syndicated. But eventually they had got the Muhammad Speaks newspaper because the Pittsburgh Courier sold it, and you know what I mean, and the new owners, newspapers back then, they needed you made your money off advertising. Magazines, newspapers, Jet, Ebony, whatever. Your money came from your advertising. Whether it's hip hop like the Source magazine. If you don't have no advertising, you're gonna pay everything over here and it's gonna stay small. It may be strong, but you're not gonna be able to scale that type of business without some type of economic charity or financial resolutions that you're gonna have to meet. So the message thing is we don't force ourselves to places where we're not wanted. Now, I mean, Muslims 12-point program. So the message is like, okay, if these white sponsors and advertisers saying they don't want my teachings in y'all newspaper, and y'all saying y'all got to pay the bill, so y'all going to ride with them. The message backed up. Cool. And started his own thing. Started Muhammad Speaks, which went on to sell 1 million copies in a week. It became the larger than Marcus Messiah Garvey's newspaper. Now, I mean, so shout out to all the mighty FOIs and MDTs that sacrificed and helped pave the way for this nation to keep standing. And all of those beautiful articles, not just from the Messenger. You had articles from Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Minister Farrakhan, Sister Tynetta Dainere, now known as Sister Beloved Mother Tynetta Muhammad. It was just so much helpful information in the Muhammad Speaks. Now, I mean, knowledge of self, if you will. Now, I mean, so that was an important element. Now, I mean, and ultimately, I started my personal journey in meeting brothers from Pittsburgh. Now, I mean, I found, we had our itinerary lists, like we had our FOI class, our ministries. We used to hold economic class, health class, financial classes, political science classes, legal classes, you name it. We're going into the science of life. Now, I mean, I wouldn't care what it was. Now, I mean, we used to the young boys used to always be battle rapping and all that. So, I took and got with them and we had it where it's like, no, we're going to have conscious battle raps. I mean, so it had it where the young boys was more challenged because now they're like, okay, I gotta think outside the box. So now the battles is who's the most conscious, who could come the hardest and the rawest with knowledge of self. Now, I mean, and this is the era of like Poor Righteous Teachers, Public Enemy, Rakim. Now, I mean, Brand Nubians and things of that nature there. So Queen Latifah, so conscious hip digital plans, so many of them. KRS-One, I can't forget. Now, I mean, but it was so many conscious videos start coming out. The white radio stations start playing hip hop. MTV start getting with it, start playing hip hop. Now, I mean, MTV Raps, BET was pioneering, kicking in the doors back then. BET Raps. Now, I mean, Philly had their own stations. Now, I mean, we up late at night watching the Johns. Now, I mean, so it was like you're always looking for that little jewel of consciousness. You love I love Cool G rap and the street stuff. Love seeing beautiful black women and all that. But my real affinity was for those conscious brothers and sisters that would come in and just drop some jewels and have you like, yo, did you see Erykah Badu new video? Did you see that joint by Lauryn Hill? I mean, did you hear that joint by Nas? That was just my personal forte. Now, I mean, and that was a beautiful time for us. Now, I mean, we really like was saving souls. I mean, resurrecting the mentally dead. Now, I mean, and I had a political situation where I'm teaching with more structure. Like we used to do all this stuff on our own, but eventually, different camps we start getting headway. You know what I mean, and we start getting like temple services, mosque services, or whatever, you know what I mean? Interfaith dialogues and respectful debates and things of that nature. There, we was on even though I used to be on the radio and on Mary Mason's WHAT AM. She used to come inside Holmesburg, you know what I mean, and had what's called an electrics conference. Every week I used to teach on her show, and she was a beautiful woman. What she did was she would take and had like me as the minister of Nation Islam, an imam from Imam Worthy Muhammad, a God from the nation, 5% Nation. Back now they known as Nation of Gods and Earth. Back then it was the 5% Nation. The Sheikh from the Moorish Science Temple. Imam Isa and them was stronger than the mud back in the day. They have like an imam from Imam Dr. York, I don't even know what name they used back then, Dr. Malika, whatever, but they was doing that thing representing Salas Muhammad, you name it, you know what I mean? And we said, that's a lot of that stuff is in, I got a series of books called Defensive Discourses. It's like, I think it's like 3 or 4 volumes, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, something like that. There's 5 books, you know what I mean? But those are like a lot of questions and answers from different little things like that there on the Teachers of Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But it was unique in a sense of I got these young boys that I'm teaching. Now I mean, at the time it's like about 20 of them. Now I mean, so I'm like, these dudes is like already conscious, like they literally are woke. But they not formally in the ranks because that thing is they don't want to fall in because I was so strict. They like, bro, minister, I can't cut my hair. Now I mean, now I'm one of them super strict type of teachers back there. So it was like the way I came up. My captain, Captain Aziz, Vernex, Everhart, and all of them. That thing was like, I was like, yo, man, I'm from we rock the low cut fades with the waves and all that. Now I mean, and he was like, brother, get a bald head and cut your eyebrows off. What? Like Scooby Doo? What you talking about, Willis? I mean, so but he said something. They know how to get you, know how to get you. So he's like, brother, if you won't cut your hair, you won't cut the devil's head off. Oh, bald head, no eyebrows, death angels. You know what I mean? So shout out to the PFC. So we literally like come up under that type of FOI training. You know what I mean? And so now I got all these young brothers, good intent, good hearts, real intelligent, conscious brothers. You know what I mean? But that thing is, we do not cut our hair. Now, I'm from Philadelphia. It's a different culture. Like, I'm looking at, like, these is men, like, some of them never in their life cut their hair. Like, Nazarenes or something. Like, I ain't talking about dreadlocks. This is like the 80s. In the 80s, they wouldn't cut their hair, some of them anyway, from Pittsburgh. The closest thing, the closest culture, because talking to some of the young boys, I start understanding how Pittsburgh was moving. I mean, like Homewood, Duquesne, the North Side, I mean, the Hill District and things of that nature there. Philadelphia was really listening and getting hip hop from New York. Pittsburgh is 300 miles away from Philly. I mean, so they really was getting their music from like the West Coast, down south, you know what I mean? So when I thought about it, I'm like, I didn't listen to rap music unless it was really conscious. I really wasn't into it unless it was something like they had to have something to say. They didn't have to be positive or necessarily conscious, but they had to at least have a like say I'm giving you a pride, like I love NWA. I love Warren G. Now I mean stuff like that there. Love Fabulous. Now, I mean, some people just had skills like that. So I respect the craft and the time. I love Foxy Brown. Now, that was gangster rap back in the day. You know what I mean? For Lil Kim and all that. I love Foxy Brown. She used to represent, you know what I mean, with the firm, Dr. Dre and all them. So when I start seeing the videos, it start making sense to me. Like, okay, I see how the brothers is in Pittsburgh. That culture is more like the West Coast. Like, you notice this, see how Snoop Dogg have his hair? That's how these young boys had their hair. I mean, now if you from North Philly, we don't do that, homie. I mean, like Snoop, he getting his hair done, and we keep mine's the penitentiary. Now, I mean, so the first thing is like, why your hair so long? Why your hair so long? Now, I mean, but um, we was losing so many good fish like that. I told the assistant minister, Minister Mateen at the time, Mateen Law, shout out to Supreme Minister, Supreme Angel Mateen. I was like, he's like, bro, Minister, these young boys, they want a soldier, but they just got this thing about cutting their hair. And I was like, I'm gonna take it to Master Muhammad. Let me pray on it, and I'm gonna get back with you about that. And when I say pray on it, we didn't believe in a mystery God. Don't believe in a mystery God. We believe in answering our own prayers. So when we say, the master teacher says, you want to talk to Allah, read the Quran. So the Holy Quran or Bible is made by the original people, who is Allah. So we look within. So I had to go within myself, and I asked Master Muhammad. I mean, I was like, what should I do with these young boys? Now, I mean, they want knowledge of self, but they don't want to cut their dreads and braids and plaits and what have you. Now, I mean, and the Savior told me crystal clear. He's like, brother, I'm more concerned with what's in their head than I am what's on their head. And I was like, I thought that was a good, simple Hakeem wisdom to share with the assistant minister. So he's like, did you pray on that? I was like, yes, sir. I mean, Law told me, brother, I mean, don't worry about what's on that head. Worry about what's in that head. So what we did, we made a modification in our mathematics and had it where you can become an FOI with the Supreme Angels without cutting your dreadlocks or braids or plaits or whatever, cornrows, whatever, your long hair. You know what I mean? And I can honestly say from that policy, I personally know at least a good 100 FOIs that became crack fruit because of that simple modification of mathematics. And the interesting thing about it is, I'm talking about like Kareem, Gary Pettis, Shaheed. These ain't weak dudes. They had that braids. These dudes. Anybody from Pittsburgh tell you like, yeah, in the '80s, these FOI was getting over $100,000 in jail. I mean, these dudes were shakers and bakers. I mean, they knew how to make things happen. So these dudes is now all FOI. They all Supreme Angels. Salam Allah, Allah Salam. But they got their long hair and dreadlocks or whatever. Now, I mean, we taking charge of the situation, making things happen. But I can honestly say, I never in my life seen one brother from Pittsburgh that had that long hair that kept it. Every last one of them cut their hair off. Once they got around the brothers and started studying the teacher, it was like that natural say, like, nah, yeah, I mean, I don't need that. I mean, the fact that they could keep it is what let them let it go. See what I'm saying? Because that's oppressive. And I mean, like, I don't, people have distinct cultures and concepts and mythologies, how they move. So you got to respect the culture wherever you go. Now, I mean, so that was a learning lesson for me. Now, I mean, and this is one of the reasons why I moved the way I moved. Now, I mean, it's like, it's not, I know a whole bunch of weak spooky fruit that had bald heads that wore bow ties. That don't make you fruit because you got an FY uniform on. I mean, you have brothers that got crack, crisp Jones, fresh shaves. They don't know their lessons. They don't eat to live. They don't even believe the black man is God. They don't believe the white man is the devil. Know what I mean? So God is not a respect of persons. Know what I mean? And I close as I open because I was moved by the sunnah of Messenger Elijah Muhammad in our lesson, 17 Ways for the Islamic Culture, wherein he teaches us actions are judged by intentions. Actions may appear wrong, but motives bring rewards. Peace and love, family. The struggle continues.